Chapter 2 on the trail of the earliest people. That's on the path how early man lived and what are the daily routine things early man used to do. Now let's see one thing from the present era. Today we can move from one place to another place, doesn't matter how far it is, it doesn't take more than a day. For example, going from Delhi to New York, it only takes less than 24 hours. Or going from Delhi to Mumbai, it around an hour via the aeroplane. Or otherwise, if we move from railways, it takes around a day or two from moving from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. That's from the topmost point of India to the lowermost point of India. It takes almost 2 days, not more than that. But the question arises, was it easy for the early man to move from one place to another place on foot? And certainly we do know that they never had aeroplanes or they never had railways, as railways and aeroplane both were introduced somewhere 2 centuries ago, that not more than 200 years ago. And even the bicycles or any kind of other cart was not there when the early man existed, that is millions of years ago. Then another question arises, the earliest people, why were they on the move if they were? We know that the earlier people on the subcontinent of India and nearby areas, they lived around 2 million years ago, that is 20 lakh years ago. So this is a huge time when the early men used to live, and certainly as they never have such kind of technology, they are called in today's world as the hunter gatherers. And why this particular name hunter gatherers came, it's simply because they used to hunt wild animals, birds, or they used to catch fishes. And certainly they were gatherers, as they used to gather fruits, the honey, or eggs, or such kind of things which were easily available in the nature. They were not the producers of food. They didn't know how to produce food. There were no restaurants or there were no hotels where they can go and have their own meal. So certainly they were hunter gatherers. They used to just catch the things which the nature has provided. Now let's come back to our own question. The earliest people, why were they on the move? Now we know that they were hunter gatherers. So certainly they used to prey upon all those things which were present in nature and in the nearby environment where they used to live. Now the thing is, if they were inhabiting a particular place, let's say for 6 months or so, so if they are staying here, then whatever material was available in this area, let's say there were 10 deers or 100 variety of fruits. Let's say there were trees of apple, there were trees of mangoes, and there were trees of banana, and all those things. They used to eat all the things in this particular area. Now certainly it will take seasons for all these fruits to grow again in this area. It will take several months or even years for these deers to come back here again from some other place. So certainly as the food was not available, hence they have to move from this place to some other place in search of this food again. As certainly they didn't have any kind of other jobs. They never used to go offices, or they never have to go, or they never has to obey government or all those things. They used to think by their own selves, by whatever amount of brain size they have. They have to move from one place to other place in search of food. Now let's ponder over what are the various reasons, what could be the probable various reason they have to move from one place to another place. Let's bifurcate them in points. It could be to collect the plant produce. Then they have to move from one possible place, one existing place, to another place. And other reasons could be, as they are searching for the plant produce, then certainly they are not sure whether the plant is edible in nature, whether the plant is poisonous in nature, or whether the plant is bad for their health. It could go for dysentery, it could lead to food poisoning, it could lead to several other things. So it's not, they were not sure, they were not doctors, or they never had done any kind of research in the early age that whether a food is good or whether a food is bad. And if they get to know, then certainly then they will never eat that particular fruit or whatever plant root or plant shoot they used to have it. Hence, in search of the edible fruit, edible plant food, they have to move from one place to another place. The other reason, we can say, as the animal move from one place to other place in search of grass. For example, let's say we have a deer. Okay, it's not a good drawing of a deer. This deer has to move in search of grass. Or similarly, the other wild cattle like cow or buffalo or whatever animal existing by that time, even they must be moving. The animals themselves used to move from one place to another place, from the second place to the third place, and so on and so forth. Hence, even the early man has to do all those things. They have to follow these animals so that they can gather the animal produced by themselves. Okay. And even the wild animal used to move from one place to another place in search of their own prey. There's no doubt in this. Let's say we have lion or we have a tiger for that matter, then certainly even these kind of animals will move from one place to another place in search of their own prey. Let's say even the deer. So that is the early man, as he was the eater of both these animals. He was. So, in search of all these things, even early man has to travel from one place to another place. Let's ponder over another reason, the probable reason why early man could have moved from one place to the another area, and that could be the seasonal shift. As the early man would have seen that in a particular season or in a particular time or somewhere in some time in the year, that the plants or the trees bear fruit on their leaves, and then in some other season the grasses what they used to eat, even they grow on this particular earth in particular area in a particular season. And hence when the season gets over, even these fruits get vanished, or even they used to eat it, then hence to have more food, as the season was not there, and they have to move in search of another area so that they can have their own food. And let's see the probable fourth reason what could be that they have to shift from this place to that place, which could be the reason as something called as water that we all know. Water is a thing that all the living beings on this planet require. It could be plants, it could be animals, and it could be the early man themselves. As water is something which you get in the rainy season, or which you get from the rivers or lakes or ponds or streams, then hence even early man used to live nearby these areas, and it is not necessary, and it was not necessary that whichever lake or stream or pond or a river they were living by is perennial in nature. Well, we are introducing a new word here. Perennial means something which is available throughout the year. So it long lasts, it never dries up. So perennial rivers. So it was not necessary that even the early man was living by near such kind of ponds or streams or lakes which are perennial in nature. Hence, even they have to move from one place to another place in search of water. And last but not the least, the probable reason why early man could have moved from one place to another place was the friends and relatives. Well, certainly it was possible that even they used to have a group of people living nearby, and in search of food, half of the group have moved to this area and half of the group have moved to this area. Well, after some time, if any of the person from this particular group wanted to see the fellow being or their own friends or relatives of this group, that the new one, then hence they have to travel to this particular area. Hence it could also be a probable reason that the early man moved. If we just summarize all these 5 points, we do find that out of these five, four are related to food, and that too tells us that the hunter gatherers thing of the early man was forcing them to move from one place to other place. In the second part of this video, we will be discussing about how do we know about these people that they used to move from one place to another place. Till then, have a good day ahead. Take care. Bye bye.